The very first thing we got to learn from Joseph is this in prison, that long-term hurts don't get solved in short-term periods. Long-term hurts don't get solved in short-term periods. You know, the primary issue in Joseph's life has never been his talents or abilities. It's never been about, is he good enough, and does he have the skills, and does he have the aptitude to do what God has called him to do. This guy rises like the sun and springs up like a daisy everywhere he goes. Have you noticed that? Like, you put him in his family and he ends up being the favorite of his father. You put him into slavery and he ends up in charge of his master's house. You put him in jail, he ends up co-running the jail with the warden. Up until now, the reason that the seasons of Joseph's life have constantly ended in loss and difficulty and pain has nothing to do with the idea that Joseph isn't good at anything, though I don't doubt that he started wondering. You know what I mean? Because when he looks at the evidence of his life, I have no doubt that he started wondering, maybe I'm not as good at this. But the reality is, everywhere he's gone, he's thrived. So it's not about the fact that he doesn't have the skills and abilities. The issue is the people. The issue is the people. And when the issue is the people, when the issue is a relational issue in your life, how many people here know this today? That relational problems do not have quick fixes. Yep. Thank you. That's all. Have a good night. Right? Relational problems don't have quick fixes. Relational problems, they tend to develop deeper, longer-term hurts within us. Hurts that develop insecurity, hurts that develop patterns of depression, hurts that develop patterns of anxiety within us. We become kind of like Twins fans. We're just expecting to lose. We expect it. So when the game starts playing and it's going well, what happens is we don't trust it. Not even a little bit. And when it starts going south on us, we get to a point where we feel like it's more normal. Verse 1 that we read together says that Joseph has been in jail 2 full years. It was 2 years that Joseph sat in that cell, waiting for Pharaoh to have his dream. Why is the time factor so significant here? It's because when it comes to most things in life, especially relational problems, there is no such thing as a quick fix. It's never as clean, it's never as quick, and it's never as easy as you would like it to be. I don't care if it's a marriage that's going off the rails, a parenting relationship that's full of stress, a friendship, a romance, a family relationship. Here's the deal. You didn't get here overnight, and as a result, you're probably not going to fix it overnight. If you want this season to end differently than the seasons that you've experienced in the past, then we need to get real comfortable with the fact that the solution is probably going to take an investment of a commodity that we have, but we don't like to spend. And it's time. It's time. Now, time alone is not going to fix your problem, okay? The Twins didn't just sit in the dugout last winter and say, I don't know, let's run it back. Looks good enough to me. Let's just run it back and see what happens and then do nothing about it. They made some roster moves, right? They shook things up a little bit, went out and made a couple trades, brought some people up, changed the chemistry of the team so that they'd be ready to approach the problem of winning baseball games differently this year than they did last year. You know, there's an old saying that says that time heals all wounds. Have you ever heard that? How many of you know that's a lie from the pit of hell? That is not true. That is not true. That is not true at all. Listen, time plus the right actions will heal some wounds. That's what it should be. You've got to use that the right way. You've got to take your time and invest it in the right stuff. If you want a better season of your life and your relationships or your purpose or your calling, you got to be prepared to put in the time. The problem is that all of us, I don't know if you're like me, I want it now. I want a quick fix. I want somebody to just give it to me. Here, there you go. Awesome, thank you, right? We just want to listen to a TED Talk and be done with it, right? Especially when it comes to the relational prisons we live in. It's just so true of us. Relationships are hard. They're hard. This isn't an easy game to play. Patterns in a relationship are really hard to break. If you spend years developing a mountain of credit card debt, right? You're probably going to need years to dig yourself out of that hole. Can we agree on that? Right? Most of the time. If you spend years eating unhealthy and having unhealthy relationship with like just being out of shape and unhealthy relationship with your body and with food and all that kind of stuff, you're probably going to need years to kind of redevelop that relationship with food and reestablish a little bit of health. Isn't that the truth? Right? If I have spent years developing relational patterns with people, what's going to happen to fix it? I'm probably going to need some time to get this thing right. If Joseph's relationship over the course of his whole life, right, they've landed him in this position regardless of whether it was his fault, not his fault, whatever. At this point, it doesn't matter. You're in jail. Doesn't matter how you got here, you're here. If it took a lifetime of a sequence of events to play out that landed him here, then the reality is it's probably not going to get fixed overnight. And here's the thing. Can I be honest with you? You're going to hate this. That's probably okay. I don't like it either. Because the next time around, here's what's going to happen. Because of the time spent, the next time around when Joseph is presented with an opportunity to start a new season in his life, a season of abundance, a season of fulfillment, a season of destiny that he's about to walk into, the next time he's presented with that, he's going to be ready. When Joseph gets another opportunity, he's going to be ready. The next time around, he's not going to forget how to be dependent on God and not himself. When the next season of life begins and relationships present himself within that season, he's going to have the wisdom to know how to handle it. He's going to have the maturity to know how to deal. It takes a long time in using time the right way to figure that out. You can't shortcut the learning curve. You can't short circuit the learning process in your life, friends. Real relational solutions are like anything else in life. It's probably going to be harder than you think. It's probably going to take longer than you'd like. And it's going to take a lot of patience and grace in the process. So, the first thing we learn from Joseph, if we're in a season that we're not thrilled with because it feels like a prison, is that most breakthroughs take longer than we'd really like them to take, especially if we have to wait on other people to participate in the process with us. It's going to take even longer. Okay, it just is. It takes an investment of time. In fact, here, I'm going to take it even a step further, okay? I have noticed that the longer of a time that God takes in preparing somebody, the bigger the calling he probably has for you. It got deathly quiet in here when I said that. Okay? Listen, I'm all for a miracle, and God can do it. He certainly can. But it's been my experience that the best miracles in life, my friends, are slow cooked. They are slow cooked. You know what I'm saying? Henry Cloud says it this way. He says that most people overestimate what can be done in 1 year, but they underestimate what can be done in 5. That's the truth, isn't it? That's the truth. But you got to use your time the right way.